way, Jose.
The following footage proves beyond any doubt that the tanks intentionally set the house on fire. It proves that the Branch Davidians were murdered. You can see that this tank has a gas jet on the front that shoots fire. You can also see the fire quite plainly. The tank goes into the house twice, and each time as it backs out, the fire at the gas jets is plainly visible.
We must all do more to recognize and look for the early warning signals that deeply troubled young people send.
What's up, guys? Welcome to the No Way Jose podcast. This is the Morning Dump, and I am Jose Galison. As you can see, I'm back out in the main area. The family's back, so I'm banished out here during the daytime. What's up, guys? I'm glad to be with you guys today. I know I told you guys that there was a good solid chance I wasn't going to be. Man, does it feel like the echo's more intense? I don't know, whatever. But yeah, I told you guys that I likely wasn't going to be doing today, but yet here I am. Subtars from Ductori, Morning Boys from Eddie Grimm. Let me know how that audio sounds. To me, then the reverberation sounds a little rough, a little more than normal, but maybe I just got spoiled used to streaming over in the other room. That perhaps that was it. We have Doctori and Eddie in the chat. While we wait for more people to get into it, like I said, I told you guys I thought I might not do today, but definitely not tomorrow. Just letting you guys know that. So tomorrow, don't be on the lookout. There's definitely none tomorrow. No morning dump tomorrow. I am working tomorrow. Thursday, Friday, up in the air. So we will see. But and then probably another one this weekend. I think Austin should be coming back soon, so maybe he will join us. We see Hey Say What Now joining us. Ray join the party. All right. But while we wait for more people to roll in, let's go ahead and come in. I don't have it dialed up. My bad. I'm fucking up here. Let's remind you guys that today's episode was brought to you by our friends over at NWJ Shave Co. If you're tired of that razor burn, the irritation, those ingrown hairs that come from those multi-blade cartridges, then this is the way to go. You can shave just like your grandpa used to, whether you're shaving your whole face or edging up your beard. The single blades provide a barber grade shave for a fraction of the price. Upgrade your shaving system today. The standard issue includes one traditional safety razor and a box of 100 stainless steel razor blades. That puts you out about $75. That's supposed to be for a year, but let's be real. It's probably going to last you a lot longer unless you're, unless you're someone who shaves on the regular. If you're someone who shaves on the regular, you're going to want to consider the Core Shave Club. When I say regular, I mean like pretty much like daily, because otherwise that 100 razor blade issue, standard issue, should cover you. But if you're shaving every single day, you're going to want to get the Core Shave Club. That puts you about 25 cents per replacement blade. This is a COVID mandate refusing company. This company was born and refusing the mandate. This is a company that doesn't hate your guts with a cheaper product and a better product. So I don't know what to tell you. I mean, it really is just kind of you're a silly goose if you aren't going this route. You also can get 10% off if you let them know that I sent you over there by using code Jose for 10% off your entire order. All right, guys, let's get back into the show. Let me check in with you guys. Oh, if it's not Nadeau, it's got to go. Yeah, I think for a second I thought you said something really like whoa, but then I realized I'm pretty sure that's exactly what Clint used to say. So I think you're just repeating him. I was like, whoa, that's a good slogan. And I realized, wait, I'm pretty sure that's Clint's. But all right, guys, let's go ahead and get into some content for today. See, Eddie says it sounds all right. Maybe it's just me. I don't know, something about the way it's echoing in my ears because there's like a reverb in here. I don't know. It's weird. But all right, let's get into some content for the day. We're going to follow up a little bit on what we were talking about yesterday. We will get into some of the other stuff, but I wanted to go ahead and hit this since this was kind of like a lagging topic from yesterday. So I figured get this before, and if I procrastinate, it pushes the end, I just won't even cover it all. So let's go ahead and get into some content. This is a follow-up. I mean, yesterday we were talking about Sam Altman, so we're going to continue down this road of talking about Sam Altman. But this is kind of a continuation from something we had talked about even before that, because at one point we had seen this. If you're someone watching this on video, you can see that I'm looking at a tweet right now, and the original tweet, the tweet that's being quote tweeted, is a video of Sam Altman talking about how AI may require changes to the social contract, and saying the entire structure of society will be up for debate and reconfiguration. And then I kind of made the point that I'm like, I don't know, I kind of need more context here. I don't really know what exactly he means. I mean, because like depending on the context here, may not really be that crazy, may not be that sinister. I know we hear us libertarian types. I mean, I guess I'm not assuming all of you are, but the libertarian types tend to hear social contract and go, whoa, what the fuck do you mean? Like immediately guard goes up. Are we talking social contract? Like the whole like idea, the implicit like supposed theoretical status idea that like if I just by existing I somehow give my consent to a state existing, which is fucking retarded. By existing in this area, I consent to a state existing. And so therefore you've all signed the social contract, and so like therefore it's not coercion. Like this is the retarded workaround for government to not be coercion, for it not to be unjust. I mean, you can I will say you can take the position it's a necessary evil, but I think the position saying it's not evil is fucking retarded. But anyways, the argument to try to not make it evil is a social contract argument, but for those who are unaware. But anyways, this is I found a thread that kind of dug a little bit more into this. Is from Kate Willett. At Kate Willett, comedian, author, podcaster, I guess on Netflix and Colbert. Cool. All right, well, that's impressive. Been on Colbert Show. Perfect blend of smart and filthy. SF Weekly tour dates on my website. New comedy special now. Yeah, she's got about like 50-ish, 50K, almost 60K followers. So good for her. I never heard of her, but I don't know. Interesting. Nice little bio. Maybe go check her out if that interests you. But here we go. She says, did a little bit of research on what Altman might mean by this. And oh boy, it's wacky. So it seems like maybe I was off. In 2021, he wrote an essay arguing that AI will create mass unemployment. So we need everyone to have a basic income of around $14K yearly, plus shares of stock in tech companies. All right, so now we're including stock in a UBI. Okay, cool. Well, that's. I mean, I'll be honest. I mean, I kind of scoffed there, but honestly, I haven't really checked into the UBI argument in a long time. Like. The last, I mean, probably damn near, probably well over 5 years, but I've really put any sort of serious consideration into like digging to the specifics on who's arguing currently what's going on with UBI. I've basically I hear UBI, I just gonna roll my eyes, throw it out. So it's kind of my own fault. So maybe that is a thing. Maybe they are maybe that is a common talking point when people talk about UBI is stock. But yes, I'm not a big fan of UBI. I mean, just a quick breakdown, my basic reason why, kind of the easiest reason why. For one, I find it unjust on its face, but I have heard people make the argument that it's better. It's preferable to like something like a welfare or something. The idea being is that this one is more, as opposed to being progressive, like a welfare system where it's like, people on the lower end get more get more money, people higher end get less or whatever. This is supposed to be more of a flat line. The idea that like, hey, I mean, sometimes they'll have it semi-progressive where like once you're over a certain thing, you don't get this UBI or whatever. But either way, the idea is that you get this minimum amount, and so it's supposed to be essentially a replacement for welfare, and so it's preferable in a certain sense. And I've heard arguments that I could kind of buy that it's preferable, perhaps. I don't know if I necessarily agree if it's preferable or not, but let's say we assume that it is preferable. Well, here's the major flaw in that argument. It's almost certainly not going to happen. The way the government works, like once you start to understand like how things end up actually working out in reality as opposed to the way you think of it or the way you want it to work out, because there's what you want and then what you're going to get, and you need to be able to realize the difference between the two. What you want is to get rid of welfare and have UBI. What you're going to get is UBI and welfare. That's why I'm against it. Pretty easy. So it's essentially just more welfare, more money moving around. I mean, I don't know. Anyways, let's keep moving. Sorry, I didn't mean to spend explaining UBI this entire time. The UBI is funded through a Georgia's land value, almost single tax. So we generate money for everything by driving the land values up. Got it. Okay. All right. Well, this is this would be a good episode to have somebody like Clint or somebody on, because I feel like he'd immediately be like, "That's retarded." I don't know. Just assuming. One thing with economics, I know we all have this idea that land always will increase in value. And that is kind of almost a truism, but I have heard arguments where a lot of that is just, it's simply due to our monetary system. It's not necessarily that like, that really, like, for example, when I bought my house, I guess this is a little, maybe it's uncouth to tell you the money, but I bought my house probably, I don't know, 5 to 10 years. I'm really bad with remembering times and stuff. I don't know, somewhere in the realm of like 8, 7, 9, something like that. I don't know, like high, almost close to 10, between 5 and 10 years ago. And I bought it for around, this is before 2020, and I bought it for around $300,000. It is now worth about $600,000, and I have done basically nothing to this house. That's not normal. I mean, obviously, like, if we were in a stable economic system, like, maybe there would be a slight increase just because it is in a thing that's a limited resource in a certain sense. I mean, although it's one of those things that, like, are you really going to run out of it? I don't know. So theoretically, it should kind of maybe increase in value slightly over time, but not so much, really. I don't know. The idea that we are going to fund UBI on it sounds like adding more artificial nonsense upon more artificial nonsense. All right, so we also tax large companies 2.5% by doing urbanism. LOL, there's a constitutional amendment preventing the plebes from voting themselves more money. Okay. All right, here is, I guess, this is from his this essay, I believe. So I think she didn't say specifically, but she references an essay, I think. She said, yeah, here we go. He wrote an essay in 2021. So here is an excerpt. I would assume this is from the essay. She doesn't say explicitly it is, but given the context, makes the most sense. Henry George, an American political economist, proposed the idea of a land value tax in the late 1800s. Well, maybe I misunderstood what they're saying. Land value tax. So we generate everything by value. Okay, so the idea is that now we're taxing the land because no, I was right initially. Sorry, I'm still processing this. I guess the idea is because land is something that value increases, that we just tax that. And so essentially we just have this magic money that comes out of nowhere because, ta-da, increasing value all the time. So essentially, this in their idea, this is like, oh, we're pulling money out of the nothing. Like, this is just extra money. You know what I mean? Like, if that makes sense, since this is like a value that's perpetuating itself essentially in their head. All right. Henry George, American political economist, proposed the idea of a land value tax in the late 1800s. The concept is widely supported by economists. What do you mean widely supported by economists? I don't even know if I'd believe that. But all right, the value of land appreciates because of the work society does around it, the network effects of the companies operating around a piece of land, the public transportation that makes it accessible, and the nearby restaurants, coffee shops, and access to nature that makes it desirable. Because the landowner didn't do all that work, it's fair for that value to be shared with a larger society that did. Okay, I mean, somewhat fair argument, sort of, if you buy into the statist underpinnings. I mean, obviously, a lot of us here in this audience probably could bring it down to the underpinnings and argue this, but from a general, understanding that most people have of, buying into things like a social contract, as mentioned before, it does kind of seem to jive, in a certain sense. So the idea being that, like, hey, all this extra value you're getting is from everybody else, so it's not really yours, so therefore, why don't we, disperse this amongst everyone, is their idea. Under the above set of assumptions, current values, future growth, and the reduction in value from the next tax, a decade from now, each of the 250 million adults in America would get about $13.5K each year. That dividend would be much higher if AI accelerates growth. So there you go, there's the AI component. But even if it's not, $13.5K will have much greater purchasing power than it does now because technology will have greatly reduced the cost of goods and services. And that effective purchasing power will go up dramatically every year. Okay, so he's kind of betting on crazy innovation, lowering prices. All right. It would be easiest for companies to pay the tax each year by issuing new shares representing 2.5% of their value. All right, then it kind of cuts off. Obviously, actually, let me pop over the chat. I want to see what you guys are saying real quick. Good morning, gang. What are we weighing in today? Well, we're talking about Sam Altman right now, and then after this, we're going to get into some of the FISA stuff. If you guys can read I'm basically just reading the title right now, but there was a trans couple Doctori told me about a few days ago, and we got the wrong one. Now we have the right one. We'll talk about that today. And then it seems to be stuff that the Glowies among Patriot Front. We'll get into that in a little bit, but that is there's some stuff going on that seems to imply there's confirmation that feds are legit in the fucking in Patriot Front. So. And then Chloe Nigger's pick. Did you see that sister accused of rape last year? Yes, we actually covered that yesterday. So for those who are interested in that, go check out yesterday's episode. I don't think, when did we cover it? Was it the beginning? I don't know, whatever. You can probably fast forward. You probably could find a thing. I once again, I'm going to let you guys know here in the future, I will set up chapters. I haven't got around to it. It's a big hassle to do it, but I will in the future. That is probably one of the big next things in my docket. So that way you guys can jump to whatever topic as opposed to listen to the whole episode. But I prefer you guys listen to the whole episode. But I get it if you don't want to. FSS free gives money makes two things go up first. Rent and mortgages. That's a good point. Yeah, that is a good point. I mean, that would make sense. Tyler is in here saying, good morning. What is up, Tyler? Good morning. Good morning. Fuck is going on? Preview image made me giggle. Yeah, I hope you guys like the that thumbnail. That's Tulsi Gabbard. I figured it tied into the FISA one because it was recent that she flip-flopped on the FISA issue. It was initially the one who was like, no, FISA bad, and we were all excited. A lot of us were all excited about her coming in there for that being one of the main reasons. And then now she got in there, and essentially she got the whole confirmation. She got the whole. I had brain fart. I saw a chat and got distracted. No, confirmation to get confirmed for her seat. Was she the Secretary of? I forget what cabinet position she was taking. But anyways, she flip-flopped on the FISA issue, and as such, because to get confirmed for her position. I don't know why I had such trouble saying that, spitting that out. But yes, that is why she's the picture on there, just because it seemed connecting enough. I don't know. But we won't really be talking about her that much. She looked pretty goddamn cute. I'm not much of a Tulsi stan. Never really have been. Not really my type. A little too swim. She's cute. She's pretty, but she looked pretty damn good in that thumbnail. I'll say that. All right. Tyler says, no, the genius Jake Shields debunked feds in Patriot Front by talking to a fed who said he hasn't one. You know what? I bet other people have talked to him and he said he wasn't a fed too. So I think, yeah, you might be right. I think this one's done. I think this dude that dresses like a flaming faggot says, hey, guess what? I'm not a fed. And we're like, whoa, shit, he's not a fed. I guess no one else is too. But yeah, we'll get into that. So we'll get more into that in a second. So, all right, let's get back into this. So obviously there are some problems with the system. The landowners and tech monopolists, using monopolists on purpose because that's important to Altman's vision, have control over all of society, and everyone else subsists on the promise of abundance. So essentially, it sounds like, obviously, we're going to get into this more. It sounds like he essentially has this abundance idea that him and all the tech oligarchs are going to somehow just innovate like a motherfucker, and they are going to drive prices down. We're going to have a new world utopia, and they are going to be running it because they're the overlords who made it happen. And now, everyone's just killing it, and we just have money just coming out of nowhere, just value dropping out of the sky. All these land going up, like just value coming out of nowhere. All these prices dropped, and but yet they're going to be the ones who are sitting above a handful of them. I don't know. I mean, maybe I'm the only one who sees the glaring issue here, as you just point out, the monopolists. Which, keep in mind, the key point here is it's funny. We've kind of talked about like statism or like social contract stuff. One of the main arguments against against like anarchists is like, oh no, monopolies will take over and they'll run things. What the fuck is going on right now? Like that's what's happening right now. I mean, I think we actually talked about this yesterday. We talked about the how China dropped their recent AI, or maybe it was the day before, dropped their recent AI models and just blew the people over here. It's like something ridiculous, like multiple times better, and then also like 10 times cheaper because they found an innovative way to like to train these models up like way cheaper. So this completely just fuck your idea here, bud. That just completely undercuts that entirely. But it's also like the idea is over there, they were open sourcing it and everything. It's kind of ironic too, because that's China. That's supposed to be great big old commies. Which actually I want to share that. You know what? Sidebar. Sorry. I wanted to share this with you guys. I just got bored the other day and I saw there's been I think the AI might have been part of what spurred this on, but I don't know entirely what, but there's been a lot of like chit chat online about like China bad type deal, which I guess it's kind of normal, but I think it might be a lot to do with this AI shit. And so there's lots of talks of like, well, we need to make sure whatever given industry that we're the head of, blah, 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 blah. And so I don't know, just for shits and gigs, I just decided I was going to look up. I use Grok. Ironically, I use Grok, which is what I use for these thumbnails too. I use Grok to kind of just real quickly look at tax rates on it. And, I had to really get very specific because obviously tax rates are confusing. And and I don't, obviously there's a lot of different other things that are probably being left out here, but I essentially got Grok to give me a very, very simple answer between, I asked him essentially effective tax rate of the United States, your average citizen, you're like your middle income citizen, and then China. What is their average tax rate of the average middle income citizen? And then I compared the two. Here we go. Here is what is. In America, the average effective tax rate for a middle income individual in America is approximately 24 to 29%. Now, bear in mind, I don't know exactly what is defined as middle income between these two, because to be fair, a middle income individual in America and a middle income individual in China could be somewhat different. But we're brushing in broad strokes here. Anyways, and then the average effective tax rate is 24 to 29% in America. Now, if we look over at China, same exact thing, 20 to 25%. So by this metric, I mean, obviously there's all sorts of other metrics we can look at, but just by this metric, the average individual in each country, China technically has like 4% on average lower tax rate. That's weird. I mean, I don't know about you, but I've always understood communism to be a given, just evenly distributing all the money, kind of like everyone, all according to their wants, according to their needs. I mean, the idea is like theoretically, in a communist country, it's 100% tax rate. You give everything to the country, and they give what you need back because everyone gets what they need. But it's weird here in China. Apparently, I guess they get taxed less. Are they the capitalist nation? Are we the communist nation? Or are we just arguing about fucking 5% here? Is that what we're arguing about? Yeah. No, and it was what spurred me on to do this. Was I saw a post about somebody going on about how Actually, I remember now exactly what it was. It was this AI argument. I saw someone going on about how, look at communist China and how great they're doing in the AI and blah, blah, blah. Look, this is why communism is better, capitalism, blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, so then I looked up just quick little metric. And I know everyone has seems to have different ideas of what communism or capitalism or this or that is. But at the end of the day, you really can kind of, to some extent, really just bring it down to the taxes. Like, how much are you taxing me? Because anyways, in a truly capitalist nation, at least by the way that anarcho-capitalists or libertarians or people who call themselves capitalists typically understand, not the way that lefties understand the term capitalist, that doesn't exist in a true capitalism. That is not that is a aberration in the system is what that is. That's all that is the government. And sure, maybe you can make arguments that, hey, but this has to exist, so we have to keep it minimum. But at the very least, you should try to be like, you would think by a capitalist nation, the idea would be at absolute minimum to even be able to qualify for that title. But let alone now we have, according to this, China taxing us less. Anyways, I just thought it was kind of interesting how everyone likes to have these arguments, and it's really what is. I mean, to be fair, I don't know. I've never been to China. I don't know a ton about China. It's never been an major point of interest for me. So I've never looked in the ins and outs of their government. So maybe there is some big black spot that to my understanding. But at the end of the day, I don't really understand what makes them commies and us capitalists. To be completely frank. I heard I've seen people say, oh, well, they'll put you in jail or they'll do that. I'm like, well, what the fuck? I mean, maybe they're more blunt about it, but once again, the idea here is look at this. We're arguing about 5%, aren't we? We're arguing about minutia. I don't know. You need to give me some sort of clear-cut example if this is supposed to be the big, bad, retarded fucking boogeyman. I'm sorry. I need something more than that. All right. Anyways, off topic, but back to this. Obviously, there's some problems with the system. Okay. Back to his essay. Part 3, Capitalism for Everyone. A stable economic system requires two components, growth and inclusivity. Economic growth matters because most people want their lives to improve every year. Oh, I remember my point. I was trying to make the point that essentially in this very, very specific situation with China releasing all their AI, that's actually a more capitalist type thing to do. The idea, I mean, I guess it depends on how you understand. Once again, it comes down to how you understand words. Because if you are a lefty, you think of capitalism, you think of robber barons, you think of the current system we're at. When they think of it, they think of government capitalism. The idea that essentially where somehow we smush these two ideas together, where a government and a free market to have to exist. And as such, it becomes no longer a free market. And they are right in that sense. And what ends up happening is robber barons, people like this, like Ellison, like Musk, Altman, I'm not even saying they're necessarily robber barons yet, but they kind of get to this point to where they become borderline indecipherable from the government. So they actually have a very strong point in that point. But I don't know. The point I'm getting at is that, like, yeah, it's just ironic that's, I don't know, whatever. In a zero-sum world, one with no or very low growth, democracy can become antagonistic as people seek to vote money away from each other. Yeah, that's why democracy sucks. What follows from the antagonism is distrust and polarization. In a high-growth world, the dogfights can be far fewer because it's much easier for everyone to win. Altman also believes some wackier stuff he didn't outline here. He said before he thinks AI could kill us all, and he himself is a doomsday prepper. This may well be him hyping his own product, a la the Joker movie will cause a shooting because it's so edgy, but still. And then here's a little article, Sam Altman warns AI could kill us all, but he still wants the world to use it, and this is from 2023, so it's 2 years ago. So this is a guy who seems to think it's going to kill us, but so whatever. But all right. I mean, to be fair, obviously that's just the headline. So maybe if we read into that Stein article, which I have no intention to, maybe we'd find a little bit more than just a flashy headline, to be fair. So I don't know. Altman is also said to be an accelerationist, editorializing. He thinks that technology is dangerous, but he wants to rush to make it so he can get a monopoly on it in the meantime. That's why him getting cucked by China's DeepSeek is kind of cool. And I agree with Kate here, So here we go. What did she mention? Effective altruism. I don't know why they... What the fuck? Okay, and I'm pretty sure he's one of those effective altruism type guys too, which she didn't say in here though. But yeah. So here you go. She's shared a She shared a article. Effective altruism contributed to the fiasco at OpenAI. So I don't know. Whatever. We'll leave it at that. I just wanted to expand on what we had talked about last time. I figured you guys might you might appreciate digging a little bit more into that. All right, let's check in on the chat. All right. All right. Taking a morning dump with the morning dump. Qbert, what's up? Hell yeah, dude. Dr. Tori says UBI has been tried in multiple places and it fails every time. Who would have thought? Tech bros think are mostly incapable of achieving the goals because people find them creepy. Yeah, and also they're wrong about economics as this perfect example. It's funny. Once again, I just find it funny how this whole big intellectual understanding that's like future, but and then all of it just completely undercut by China, just dumping the market with fucking AI, just blowing loads all over the stupid fucking Stargate project. It really is. So, all right. Grok doesn't like me, says Qbert. Leech says, I don't know what that means. I've been on a loop for several months. I don't know what you mean, Leech, so you need to let me know specifically. Mean, medium, and mode judgments of average American income is so skewed because of the disparity at the tip 1%. FFS says, most people are broke without their next check and their usurious credit. Sure. Absolutely. Yeah. And then Dr. A says China has been a mixed economy since the early 90s, maybe even earlier if you include the black market. Exactly. This is they're not I don't know. It's just so fucking frustrating seeing all these stupid fucking people. It's just such a low IQ boogeyman. It's either like you're retarded or you're lying or some combination of the two. That like this like knee-jerk China. Like, I don't know. It really... Especially, okay, it's one. Okay, all right. I'll take that back a little bit. It's one thing to say China, but if it then leans on communist China, who always implying communist, and don't get me wrong, I don't fucking like communism, but as I just laid out, I don't necessarily know. I mean, why should I be outraged here? Oh, you're telling me because China was communist once, and I mean, like, it's debatable whether they are now, but they're debatable in the same way that it's debatable if we're communist. So, like, what are we arguing about here? So, all right. So did you see my vid on DeepSeek asking about Mao? I did see you were in the Tower Gang group. For those who aren't aware, this is Tyler Yonke, a Libertarian Podcast Review. He is the producer of Tower Gang. So in our Tower Gang production chat, he did share a thing about like the DeepSeek, I think, is one of the multiple Chinese AIs that dumped out. That's all like open source and shit. And I remember you showed me. I didn't watch the whole thing, but I mean, you told me, so I get the idea. The idea is that essentially they won't tell you about Mao or something like that. Or, kind of the idea of like, oh, they won't tell you about Tiananmen Square. And it's like, yeah, I mean, that's interesting and like not great. And like, of course, China's going to do shit too, but like, I don't know, whatever. Like, I mean, don't get me wrong, I don't want them to do it, but it is like kind of a free product. It's open source. It is what it is. I mean, prefer they didn't do it. But you know what? Someone's probably going to take that and then they're going to probably make their own version and probably, I mean, I don't understand tech enough. So But I would assume they'd find ways to overcome the shortcomings there. I don't fucking know. It just is. I mean, I'm not trying to be mean to you, Tyler. I love you, Tyler. But it's like the look what they're censoring on China's AI. It's like, okay, well, look at what they were censoring on our AI. The first AIs that came out were all like super woke. I mean, they fix a lot of that shit now, but I'm sure maybe there's probably stress tests you could pull on ours as well. Probably bias that you could see. I don't fucking know. It's just kind of like, I don't know. Like, I'm not like blown away and we're like, oh my God, an AI from China. It's like, they're not telling you about Tiananmen Square. I'm like, well, yeah, no shit. I mean, it's China. I mean, they are like, yeah, they were. I'm not saying they're like a bastion of free market anything. Like, they're still going to do bullshit like this, but I don't know. All right. Anyways, let's get into the next topic. This is from Ken Silva. So warrantless FISA searches are now unconstitutional, judge says in landmark ruling. To hold, never mind, I'm reading that. Loss in the excitement of Donald Trump's first days in office was a major ruling last week that implicates Americans' privacy rights. By the way, I don't know if I said this was from Ken Silva. Sometimes I think things, I don't not realize if I said it or not, but yeah, this is from Ken, the homie Ken. Indeed, a U.S. judge ruled last Tuesday that the U.S. government violates the Fourth Amendment when it conducts warrantless searches of information collected under Section 702 of the Foreign Intelligence Surveillance Act, that's FISA. U.S. Judge LaShawn DRC, well, thank you, LaShawn. Very rarely do you find myself thanking a LaShawn. So U.S. Judge LaShawn DRC's Hall's judgment last week was in the case of Argon Hasbajrami, man, that's a name, who was arrested in September 2011 at JFK International Airport after buying a one-way ticket to Turkey. He pled guilty in 2012 and was sentenced to 15 years in prison for trying to travel to Pakistan the previous year to join a radical jihadist insurgent group. While in prison, he was notified by the federal government that some evidence against him had been gathered via FISA 702, which allows the FBI and other agencies to collect, without a warrant, the communications of foreigners located in other countries, including when those subjects are in contact with Americans or other people inside the U.S. And I'm pretty sure, what they call it, like a 2-hop or a 3-hop now, where it's like they get like, they can, on top of that, then they can like jump off of those. So like, if you are the foreign terrorist that they're investigating, and then you are talking to your aunt in Oregon, and then they can then from there go, oh, well, your aunt from Oregon called her water repair, her fucking water filtration system repairman or something, and now they get to surveil him. So you see how I mean, by this logic, we're damn near like we're fucking every friggin' FISA application. The feds can surveil Kevin Bacon. You know what I mean? Like it's retarded. Like you can do this to where you can get to a ridiculous place. All right. For about the last decade, Haj Bajrami has challenged the constitutionality of the FISA surveillance they were subjected to. The ruling last Tuesday was a major step in that battle. In her ruling, Judge Hall noted that the warrantless collection of U.S. communications under Section 02 may be constitutional. Okay, for instance, the incidental collection of a U.S. person's communication is allowed if it occurred while the FBI was targeting a foreign national outside the country. All right, the way that's worded is a little confusing to me. Okay, so it could be constitutional in the instance when incidental collection of a U.S. person's... Okay, essentially what they're saying is for it to be constitutional, the incidental collection is allowed if it occurred while they were targeting a foreign national outside the country. So I don't know, like, was he in the country? Did I miss that point where he said he was in the country at the time? Okay, so... All right, whatever. We'll get more into this. But while the U.S. government might be able to collect the communications without a warrant, it does require one if it wants to read the content of those comms, Judge Hall ruled last week. Simply acquiring the defendant's communications under Section 702, albeit lawfully, did not in and of itself permit the government to later query the retained information. To hold otherwise would effectively allow law enforcement to amass a repository of communications under Section 02, including those of U.S. persons that can later be searched on demand without limitation. Okay, well, it is kind of dicey what she's saying here, but essentially, I guess it's sounding like the hops is what she's talking about, not even like the initial. I mean, this is my interpretation so far. Maybe I'm wrong. While communications of U.S. persons may nonetheless be intercepted, incidentally or inadvertently, it would be paradoxical to permit warrantless searches of the same information that Section 702 is specifically designed to avoid collecting. I mean, I guess I'm trying to, so you can incidentally collect it, but you can't intentionally or use it later. So it sounds like they can incidentally collect it, but they can't query it, is what I'm saying, because they say, which means looking into it, or so the idea being is like you can accidentally collect this information, but you ain't allowed to do anything with it. Is how I'm interpreting that. I don't know. Okay. While ruling the warrantless FISA queries unconstitutional, the judge declined to suppress the information that was collected from those searches, ruling that agents acted in good faith when they searched through Haj Bajrami's comms without a warrant. Well, that's kind of whack. Oh, this is unconstitutional, but this happened before I decided it was unconstitutional, so we're good. Reacting to last week's judgment, the nonprofit Project for Privacy and Surveillance Accountability said it shows that implementing warrant requirements for FISA searches is moderate and practical. The court recognized that there's room for exigent or emergency circumstances, but it reasonably creates an expectation that in most cases involving an American, a warrant will be required. Haj Bajrami's lawyers have signaled they plan to appeal the parts of Judge Hall's judgment. They also want to be able to read the parts of judgment that were redacted. It's not clear whether the Justice Department will appeal the ruling. Trump's pick for Attorney General Pam Bondi said during a confirmation hearing that she opposes backdoor searches under 702, which is what Haj Bajrami was subjected to. However, Bondi signaled her overall support for FISA 702. Trump's pick to run the office of DNI, Tulsi Gabbard, also said she supports warrantless spying on Americans via Section 702, while National Security Advisor Mike Walls has always been a vocal proponent of 702. Okay, so there you go. That's so that is what I was saying earlier. Tulsi is the one who said she supported it, but the context left out here. I mean, no shade thrown at Ken or anything. I'm not saying you should have, but the context not in here is that she had just flip-flopped, and essentially the idea was to get the confirmation. There's a lot of people out there that are implying that like, oh, this is clearly a lie just to get in place. And like, perhaps it is. Wouldn't be surprised if it was, but it's also kind of like, well, I mean, I don't know. What am I supposed to fucking take your word for it? Yeah, okay. So that's she did flip flop. But I mean, I think I put on the title here, I put FISA ruled unconstitutional. It's a little bit of clickbait. My bad. I didn't even, to be fair, I hadn't read the article completely yet at that point. So, it's actually not the FISA's ruled unconstitutional. It sounds like the specifics of warrantless FISA, so essentially the backdoor stuff. So the idea that you could essentially a hop is the idea that I was referring to earlier. You're not able to do that. I mean, even then it's a kind of a gray area. It sounds like you can, but you can't do anything with it. So, which okay. All right, let's check in on the chat, see what you guys have to say. I'm so hurt. Incidental does a lot of work in these cases. Oh yeah, I forgot we had a lawyer in here. He probably could explain this a little bit better to me. Oh shit. Sorry. I was reading one that. Okay. I hear the easiest way to get rid of UBI is cranberry juice. That's from Leach. Yeah, no, that's true. That's what I've heard. Good morning, Truth Time 604. Hell yeah. What is up? Good morning from Leach. Good morning, everybody. Good morning. All right, yeah. I mean, Tyler, if you have any thoughts on the FISA stuff, let me know. I mean, you'd be the guy to ask. But all right, let's get into. Oh, I still have that up. Let's get into the next thing. We have one more thing from my buddy Ken. So this is the Patriot Front thing I told you guys about. So it's from Ken. The FBI released another batch of documents on the Patriot Front the day after their march. These docs show the FBI researched the group members' identities back in 2020 using a CHS, confidential human source, I think is what that stands for. Yep. To do so. We know this because of the records cite B7D, which is a FOIA, Freedom of Information Act exception, used to protect the ID of informants. So there we go. I mean, I'm not going to read any article, but you guys can go check this one out for yourself. I think I retweeted it fairly recently if you want to try to hunt it down. But yeah, you can look at the documents yourself, see all the redactions, you could verify this. I didn't verify any of this, to be fair, so I don't know, what did it say, a B7D? So you can look up B7D, see if that's legit. I'm sure that's something you could Google online or something. It'd be a weird thing for Ken to lie about. So according to these documents, assuming Ken's telling the truth, it seems to heavily imply there is an informant here, which for those who are aware, I know that's been the big thing that's like, oh, we don't have those. But yeah, so it looks like there's a little bit of confirmation. So I'm one of those people who does lean towards it's that shit fucking glows. I know a lot of people go, well, you're basing it on nothing. What do you think white people can't organize? And you're like, I don't know. Okay, whatever, dude. That's really all I gotta say to that. I don't know. Like, okay, like, yeah, they can organize, but it's like, I mean, anytime you deal with any sort of large group organizing, it's going to get infiltrated. And then especially if you're talking about, especially anything that's like white supremacist or white or like anything that has some sort of contention to it. And you know what? It's not even like a white thing. Even like Black Panthers, like any one of these entities is going to be infiltrated. And this is just one of the more egregious examples where you look at it and you're like, okay, yeah, no shit. So yeah. And here's, all right. Let's pop back in the chat. That's all I got on that one. So I don't care if their feds are still fake and gay. Yeah, so exactly. All right, guys. Now we're on to the Troon killers. This is the story Doc Torrey shared a few days ago that we read and then realized, oh shit, this isn't the right story. I guess there's been multiple Border Patrol officers killed recently, which is kind of wild. Because yeah, we had that other one that was, I believe, the southern border, and it was some weird German guy or something, or not German guy. I don't remember what it was. But yeah, we read one the other day, and then we thought there were explosives or something. But anyways, this one is from the Post Millennial by Andy No. It says trans terror, trans duo reveal the suspects in killing of a Vermont Border Patrol officer. All right, here you go. Here they are. You see the photo of them, and then you can see the Border Patrol officer. I mean, I'm not a huge fan of cops, but I'll be honest, look kind of like a cool dude, and they kind of look like big old homos. But all right, let's keep on going. On Inauguration Day, the shocking news that a U.S. Border Patrol officer has been shot dead near the Canadian border in Vermont in an incident involving a now-deceased foreign national was overshadowed by coverage of Donald Trump's offense in the nation capital. 1 week later, a 21-year-old Washington woman was charged over the deadly incident, but little has been reported about her and her deceased accomplice, a German man. Oh, wait, no, this is the same. Wait, is this the same story, or is there somehow connecting it? Okay, because that is the story I believe we talked about initially. So on inauguration, the shocking news, they've been dead. 1 week later, was charged. Okay, all right. The Post Millennial can report that the mysterious duo who were pulled over in Coventry, Vermont, in a deadly shootout are leftist trans militants with alleged ties to a trans terror cell. Okay, so I think this is the one from before. We're just expanding on it. Okay. All right, because he had said he'd seen other shit, and then but we couldn't find any. He couldn't find any articles that said the stuff he was looking for. All right, around a week before the January 20th attack, federal law enforcement had been surveilling German man Felix Ophelia Bachholt. Okay, so that's where the confusion was, is because it was tranny, but they were saying it was a dude, but they go by Felix. So that's why I was like, when we saw this trans thing, I thought it was a different story, because they just referred to him as a dude in the other one. And Seattle woman Teresa Milo Consuelo Youngblood, after staff at a Lyndonville, Vermont motel reported seeing them with black tactical clothing, weapons, and protective militia-style equipment. So this is the same story from the other day, but for some reason we didn't have the context that this was a trans couple. And okay, all right, that adds a different dimension to this. All right. When law enforcement contacted them, they claimed to be looking to purchase property in the area. They promptly checked out of the motel afterward on January 14th. Bachholt was a biological male who identified as trans and used feminine pronouns. He was an award-winning youth math genius, all right, who later graduated from the University of Waterloo in Ontario, Canada. German media reports that he comes from the Freiburg area. So we got trans Teddy here, Ted K, trans Ted K. That's what we got here. All right. Oh my God. She was not pulling it off. And then she died in the shootout. Around 2021, he was hired as a quantitative trader at Tower Research Capital in New York. He lives in New Jersey. It is believed Bachholt was in the U.S. on an H-1B visa. The DOJ alleges he was armed in the car and tried to aim his firearm before being shot dead. Youngblood is accused of firing the surprise shots that killed Air Force veteran and border agent David Milland, was injured by returning fire. She's a biological female who identifies as trans and lists her neopronouns as zers on social media. She was a University of Washington student. Huh. Okay, I just realized so that border person, I mean, this may not be important to you. They said it's an Air Force veteran. One reason I said is, like, he kind of looks familiar. And I realized, like, after saying, like, I feel like I've seen him before. I don't know. Maybe I've met this guy before. I mean, the Air Force is fucking huge, so I don't know. It may not have. Okay, she's a biological female who identifies as trans and lists her neopronouns as them, zers on... so fucking stupid. On social media. She was a University of Washington student. Youngblood's family reported her missing to Seattle police in May 2024. Her family said she was in a controlling relationship and cut off contact, according to the police report. Youngblood filed a marriage application with a man named Maximilian Snyder in November 2024, though it doesn't appear they actually followed through, according to public records. Court filings by prosecutors say Youngblood was estranged from her family and traveled internationally in 2022, 23, and 24. Her social media account on Blue Sky shows she followed Antifa and far-left accounts. Okay, so Teresa, there she is. There's a photo of her. And there's an image. While receiving inpatient medical care at Dartmouth Hitchcock Medical Center in New Hampshire, Youngblood was charged with 1 count of using a deadly weapon while assaulting a Border Patrol agent and 1 count of using and discharging a firearm during the assault. I did not think it was likely Ophelia would be involved in direct violence. She was not aggressive, and I didn't know about her having weapons, Jessica Taylor, a friend of Buckhold, said. Taylor, a 32-year-old woman in Berkeley, California, has met Buckhold repeatedly over the years and was the first person to confirm his identity as Ophelia. Buckhold was known among online trans networks in the artificial intelligence fields. What the fuck? What kind of world? All right, I'm sorry. I don't know. I guess maybe I'm just a tech retard, but I'm like, that's a thing? We have trans networks in the AI fields? Okay, that seems way too niched down, but it's 2025, baby. Ophelia may have been radicalized by some person or group, Taylor speculates. Taylor showed TPM written communications she had with Buckhold in 2022, where he discussed being in contact with members of the Ziz group. The group was or is a Vallejo, California-based violent trans commune centered around a cult of personality leader, Ziz. His real name is Jack Lasota. Well, that can't be the cool Ziz. Because, I mean, I think, isn't it Ziz? I think it was spelled differently. It was like the old school, like, fucking yoked, ripped dude that did all the dancing and shit. You know, the techno guy. I don't know. Some of you guys might know what I'm talking about. That's old internet right there. He died, though. I think he was probably from being juiced out of his fucking mind. But, and he seemed like a cool guy. But I think this is a different one. But Ziz is the kind of one who probably could have started a cult. But, okay, so we're dealing with some possible sort of cult. Some sort of weird, or not even a cult of personality, says some sort of weird trans commune centered around a singular figure named Ziz. Bizarre. Her Youngblood associations with other individuals suspected of violent acts also warrants caution, and the prosecutor wrote in a court filing on January 27th. The individual who purchased the firearms the defendant and Buckhold possessed on January 20, 2025 is a person of interest in a dual homicide investigation in Delaware County, Pennsylvania. Alleged members of the Ziz group are under investigation for a double homicide of an elderly couple in January 2022 in Pennsylvania and the murder of an 82-year-old in Vallejo. The court filing strongly suggests Youngblood and Buckhold were in contact with the group. This is wild, man. This is nuts, dude. Both the defendant and the person who purchased the firearms in Vermont that the defendant and their companion possessed on January 20, 2025 are acquainted with and have been in frequent contact with an individual who was detained by the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania during that homicide investigation. That individual is also a person of interest in a homicide investigation in Vallejo, California. Okay, wild. I mean, here's some stuff. I'm not going to read all the different things. So yes, here it is. I mean, just a summation of the documents up here. Just federal prosecutors alleged Teresa Cancelo, Youngblood, and Felix Buckhold received at least one of their firearms from a person of interest in murder cases where details match up to the Ziz group killings. Okay. Buckhold flew back to the U.S. in the hours before the double homicide in Pennsylvania, the prosecutor said, citing data from a Department of Homeland Security database. Okay. So hours before. I mean, I don't know. I mean, okay. All right. Anyway, Snyder, the Seattle man who applied for a marriage license with Youngblood, was arrested on January 24th in Solano County, California, and charged with murder over the killing of the Vallejo elderly victim. It is unclear if he's the person of interest mentioned in the Vermont federal court filing by prosecutors. Here is I believe that's the German man there. So there you go. A spokeswoman declined to comment when asked about Buckholt and Youngblood's gender identities and details about the prosecution's allegations. As per our general policy, the U.S. Attorney's Office for the District of Vermont does not comment on ongoing cases beyond the public record, a spokeswoman said. Which, by the way, if I recall correctly, I know if someone wants me to get BX on here, here's a tweet right here from Andy No where he's talking about this trans terror cell here, essentially, that we're kind of talking about right now. I believe she said she hasn't seen any connections, because that's obviously what I think myself. I was just thinking about it as I was reading it, and I was like, oh yeah, I remember seeing her say that. This is kind of, everyone just kind of assumes, myself included, that like this just has all the hallmarks of it kind of matching up with exactly, kind of the accelerationist, Satanism, 764, like these type of, like it totally fits in. So, but I mean, according to her, she hasn't, if I recall correctly, I believe she said she hasn't seen any connections yet. So I don't know, maybe in the future, it's wild. This is a crazy story. After the shooting, a bomb squad investigated Buckholt and Youngblood's Toyota Prius hatchback. Investigators found 2 pistols, ammunition clips, night vision goggles. Okay, those aren't just something I think maybe you can buy them, but I don't know. That's not something a normal person just keeps hanging around. 2 full-face respirators, a ballistic helmet, 48 rounds of hollow point ammunition. Well, they are very under. I mean, for considering all the other shit they have, 48 rounds, that's it? That's fucking it. That's whack. All right. Shooting range targets, interstate lodging information, 2-way radios, and a dozen electronic devices, some of which were wrapped in foil. Don't know the purpose of that, but all right. All right. David Milland is this guy's name. I'm going to look him up later, because that face is like super familiar. I'm not saying we were like super close buddies, but I swear I've seen him. I mean, I'm really good with faces. All right, fine. Taylor Buckholt's friend has come under pressure by trans activists for speaking about her deceased friend in the early days of President Trump's second administration, which is marked by executive orders empowering border security and opposing gender ideology. I don't really think there should be a general obligation for trans people to cover for each other in terms of crimes, Taylor responds. Okay, Youngblood is scheduled for her first court appearance on January 27th. Okay, that is fucking wild. All right, well, let's pop in the chat, see what you guys have to say about this fucking wild story. That is nuts, dude. You can definitely buy night vision. I know. After I said that, I was like, yeah, you can buy it. And I was like, but it's something you don't normally see like a normal person keeping around. All right, Tranny K, I like that. Tranny K. Maybe that'll have to be the title. I like that. And interesting, the training got their start at Jane Street Capitol, the same place as Sam Bankman-Fried. I mean, he kind of looks like he would be a true Sam Bankman-Fried, right? Look at that shoe. Just look at that shoe at some point at the end. A troon cult is what everyone's saying. Ziz wants your jizz. Not NV, not as common as it used to be. They never said how good. I don't know what you're talking about. Oh, night vision is not as uncommon as it used to be. They never said how good it was. Okay, that's true. I guess you probably can get some cheap ass fucking night vision goggles out there. Why are they so violent? 41% self-harm. The other 59% are like, it's ma'am, from FFS. All right, guys, let's keep moving. Here is another, actually, real quick. Sorry, I didn't bring it up. My bad. One of these days I'll get better at. Can you guys see that? It just. All right, there you go. You guys can see that, right? I just got a weird notification that you guys couldn't see my shit. That's weird. I don't know what's going on. I mean, it looks like you can. So let's do this. Yeah, okay. I popped over to look over at Rumble to be sure. Yep. So also to remind you guys can leave Rumble rants if you guys want to make sure I read it. I will try to pop over there and check the Rumble chat occasionally for them. But if there's something you want me to do, feel free to do that. But all right, here is. I know we showed this photo yesterday. We showed this photo yesterday, but then I don't know where this other photo came from. But this is just like. I mean, I was already blown away by this photo. All right, once again, sometimes I forget there are audio listeners out here. All right, yes, this is a photo of Palestinians returning back to Gaza. And there was we talked about it a little bit yesterday. We're probably not going to talk about too much today, but we talked about it a little bit yesterday. We showed this photo that was kind of like, I guess, sort of inspiring in a sense. depending on how you look at it. And then I just saw, I believe it was yesterday, he shared it again, a different one, a more zoomed out one, and it's even more insane. Like, this is ridiculous. I mean, the first one I know I made comments about, like, kind of like, I don't know. I mean, if I was them, maybe I would kind of get up. But like, this picture, I mean, it's even more like, man, look at all these people. I mean, I really do think there is going to be a concerted effort between Israel and us to try to convince these people to quote unquote voluntarily immigrate, where I don't think you really can consider voluntary immigration. If you blow up my house and be like, do you want to move? And if I go, yep. No, I don't know if that's really voluntary. I don't really have much of a fucking option. But I mean, you look at this, look at all these people. I mean, I don't know what they're going to be able to do with this. I think they may have just, I mean, I don't know. We'll see how this plays out, but maybe they just lost. I mean, maybe just the overwhelming spirit of fuck you, Israel. You don't get to take our shit. And like all these people just rushing back is just enough to just kind of give a feeling of hopelessness to them, because they bombed the ever living fucking shit out of this place. Just like crazy. And look, this is still the result. Once the hostilities end and say, hey, you can come back home if you want to, but you really should go somewhere else, because no one's living here, right? Like this, you should leave it. You should go somewhere else. Just go somewhere else. Don't worry about it. No, I have no ulterior motives here. But no, they said, fuck you. We're coming back. And this is a photo. So I don't know if I necessarily agree, on an individual level, depending on the situation. We talked about this a little bit yesterday, but I don't know, kind of in a certain weird sense, kind of warms my heart that it's like, no, you don't just get this easy. But at the same time, it is also kind of like you don't just get this easy, but it's like humans are going back to not likely, but possibly getting fucking killed if this picks back up again. I'm still somewhat of the opinion that it's going to be a lot harder for them to start up again. I really think that the shift here is really to push for immigration. But I think like photos like these really kind of push it. Like, I don't know if they're going to win that game. Unless they go back to square one and start back over with the genocide card. Maybe they can get more people to move. They probably will get more people to move or not exist. I just think they're going to have a very, very hard time re-upping and doing that again. Oh yeah. Also, I saw an anti-war post today. Fun little fact. Apparently, during all of this, I believe, was it 15,000 troops? Hamas has recruited 15,000 troops. I pulled it up as we're talking since Israeli invasion of Gaza. So how did that work out? Huh? How did that work? It looks like they may have grown. So, I mean, I don't know what they started out with. I mean, maybe they're just re-upping. So I don't know. I mean, we could read this whole article. I'm not going to, but, yeah, I mean, even if it is like a minor, let's say 17,000 fighters died, during this. Well, they have 15,000. They've borderline broke even. I don't even know how many people died. I'm just saying, like, I mean, I would just assume on its face. Yeah. All right. Here's one I found the other day that I thought was mind blowing. It says, even when the IDF assaults a New York Times reporter, the paper can't quite manage to write a headline who says who did it. And so this is Israeli army raids home of freed Hamas member amid tensions over a hostage deal. That's the headline. Now, in order to find that the Times reporter, keep in mind this was written in the Times. So this is literally in the Times. So there's a headline here. The headline is Israeli army raids home of freed Hamas member amid tensions over hostage deal, which that's already on its face kind of fucked up. I mean, this guy got freed and now they're harassing him after the fact. Doesn't really seem, lacks decor. Let's say that. But you have to actually get into the subtext of the article in order to actually see that a Times reporter, and on top of that, this wasn't even like on the front page or anything. I remember looking at this before. It was like way back where, something retarded, like, yeah, a Times reporter. So, and then it says in here, soldiers disrupted a Jerusalem gathering to mark the early release of an imprisoned Palestinian, arresting his brother and roughing up his father. And then a Times reporter conducting interviews was also assaulted. Just a throwaway fucking sentence. Like, I don't know, it's just wild that it's like, as this guy points out, that like even when literally one of their own reporters gets physically attacked, they can't even make a thing of it. Like, you would think that like that would be easy, just to, also you could make that front page. Like, you could fucking cry and whine and make such a big deal of it, but nope. Crickets. All right. So let me see, pop back in here. Yeah. So I'd rather, curiously, 8 out of 10 Hamas fighters have ID cards that say Langley on them. Yeah, right? For real. All right, actually, let's do the Hamas reading real quick. I do want to read through this. This is Kyle Anzalone, which he has a new show now, by the way. I forget what it's called, but maybe go check that out. I've seen little bits and pieces here or there. It seems nice. One of Prime Minister's Benjamin Netanyahu's top goals for Israel's onslaught is to eliminate Hamas. U.S. intelligence now says Tel Aviv may not have made any progress in achieving that goal, as Hamas has added 15,000 new fighters since they began operations. Okay, so I'm not even, like, it sounds like they're saying overall they've gained 15,000. It's not even saying they've gained 15,000, but not even talking about the loss. It sounds like they're just saying 10,000 overall. According to congressional sources who were briefed on the situation by the intelligence community, Hamas has recruited 10,000 to 15,000 new fighters over the past 15 months. During that same period, the intelligence community believed Israel killed about the same number of Hamas fighters. And you know what? You remember that photo I just showed you? Don't see that horde of people hopefully going back to their home? Think about how many of them are going to come back to nothing. Think about them are going to come back and watch their children, their brothers, their sisters, their mothers, their fathers, their grandparents, their uncles, their aunts die slowly in a place where they lack the basics to survive. I mean, luckily I think we're getting aid trucks in now, so like, I mean, maybe, but I don't know to what extent they're actually getting these people through or they're helping these people, but it's not going to be sustainable. It's likely that a lot of these people going back will die as well. Now, how many more Hamas fighters are going to come out of that? Because I can tell you damn well, if I had to witness my entire family die, I'd be joining up the next day. All right, well, it looks like we kind of covered, I mean, I'm not going to read the whole article. I really just want to emphasize the amount. But all right, we're going to go ahead and get out of here today. I appreciate you guys joining me. If you want to support what I'm doing, you can do that over at patreon.com/nowayjose2020. $2 at the lowest level. The highest level is the sponsors. I read them off every episode. But the lowest level, I do remind you guys you get those early episodes. For example, that Vegas episode that's in the wings right now, waiting for the public. If you're a patron, you get it early. You also going to be a talking head on the call-in portion of me and Austin's Already Dead show. And also you can get the ad-free RSS feed. But also I do remind you guys that if you are a sponsor, I read you guys off every episode. That's my co-host on Tarragang, at TarragangToad, at AbrogatoDees, at ZOVERACK, at _InfiniteZeal. Then I also have at Jolly on Klebold. And then a Will Bell's Delicious Blueberry Rabbit Eye Wine. And big fan of the show, at Torin May. And then also, who was the other one? God, I'm going to brain fart. And then at INWEARD Lover. Make sure to like, share, subscribe, comment, all that good stuff. Leave a 5-star review wherever you're watching this. Follow me on Twitter at TarragangJose. And with that, we are out of here. Deuces.